your master gland is out of alignment and controls your impulses without your permission. In the next few minutes, you'll identify the exact cranial point where external commands are carried out in your body, and learn a precise gesture that interrupts this silent obedience. It's not the pineal gland. There's a forgotten center, hidden deep in the middle of the skull, that transforms invisible frequencies into involuntary bodily actions. When it vibrates out of alignment, you stop choosing and start reacting. Your body obeys inherited traumas, collective fears, patterns that were never born in your soul. You decide without deciding, act without meaning to, repeat without understanding. Walking away from this video now means staying under this hidden command without knowing where it comes from or how to silence it. What you're about to discover is not just the name of this gland, but the exact ritual that returns the vibrational throne to its rightful owner. This center is the pituitary gland. Biologically, it governs the entire hormonal axis of your body. Spiritually, it transmits vibrational orders to your whole energetic field. While the pineal gland perceives subtle frequencies, the pituitary gland carries them out in matter. It turns vision into flesh, impulse into action, spirit into tangible chemistry. The pineal sees, the pituitary commands. And when that command is corrupted, you end up living a life you never chose. The sacred alignment ritual you'll learn here restores this gland to its forgotten role, to transmit only the impulses that truly belong to your soul. A precise touch on the region of the sella turcica, the bony structure that protects it. Axial breathing in 3 phases. Internal vocal activation. These 3 gestures recalibrate the body's vibrational throne and silence the frequencies that entered without permission. This is not symbolic, it's surgical. In the mystery schools of Egypt, the sella turcica was known as the throne of Ra, the place where the solar light of spirit sits to govern the physical temple. It wasn't poetry, it was a functional map. They knew that this point translated divine intention into bodily pulse. When the throne is occupied by essence, the body vibrates at its original frequency. When it's empty or invaded, it obeys what comes from the outside. Modern neuroendocrinology reveals that the pituitary gland coordinates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. When this axis is chronically activated by trauma, the gland loses its ability to tell a real threat from an inherited emotional echo. Bessel van der Kolk documented how unresolved memories permanently alter the receptors in this structure. The pituitary becomes a repeater station for external signals, transmitting collective fear, ancestral patterns, commands that were never born within you. When the pituitary is out of alignment, it loses its ability to discern. It can no longer separate what comes from the soul from what comes from the outside field. Inherited impulses, collective fears, patterns passed down through generations, all are processed as if they were yours. Biologically, this happens because unresolved traumas change the sensitivity of this gland's receptors. It starts responding to emotional echoes as if they were real, present threats. The physical signs of this misalignment are precise: persistent pressure in the forehead, chronic tension in the back of the neck that won't go away, headaches that show up without an apparent cause, breathing blocks as if the air can't go past your chest, impulsive decisions followed by deep regret, recurring procrastination in projects that matter to you. These are not flaws in your character. They are symptoms of a gland operating outside its original axis. Science calls this dysfunction of the hypothalamic pituitary axis. Bessel van der Kolk has documented that traumatic memories settle in the autonomic command centers, making the pituitary gland hyperreactive to danger signals even when no threat is present. Spiritually, it goes even deeper. Vibrational commands are transmitted across generations. Epigenetics reveals that the emotional imprints of your ancestors alter the expression of your genes. The traumas they experienced are passed down to you, not as conscious memory, but as operating frequency. These inherited commands enter through the door of a misaligned pituitary gland. It doesn't question the source, it just executes. The fear your grandmother carried becomes anxiety in your body with no clear cause. The submission your father learned turns into paralysis in your choices. Unresolved anger from 3 generations ago pulses through your arteries when someone challenges you. You're living lives that are not yours, playing out scripts written before you were born. This is a loss of vibrational sovereignty. Your body stops responding to what you want and starts reacting to what the collective field expects. You become a puppet of external frequencies, acting without choosing, repeating without understanding, reacting without awareness. The pituitary has turned into a repeater station for signals that never originated within you. But there is a point where this automatic obedience can be interrupted. And this is where the inner throne is returned to its true owner. The sacred alignment ritual works on 3 simultaneous layers: physical touch, breathing pattern, and vibrational emission. Together, these layers recalibrate the pituitary gland to transmit only the impulses that belong to your soul. The first layer is the precise touch. Place your right hand between your eyebrows, slightly above the bridge of your nose. This is the energetic access point to the sella turcica, the bony structure that protects the pituitary gland. Your left hand rests over your heart, creating a vertical axis between command and feeling. You are not applying physical pressure. You are placing intentional presence with total focus. The right hand marks the cranial throne. The left hand anchors your essence. Between them, a vibrational current forms. You are not just touching anatomical points. You are reconnecting to centers that were disconnected by trauma, fear, and unconscious submission. The second layer is axial breathing in 3 phases. Inhale deeply through your nose, counting to 4, filling your lungs from bottom to top. Hold the breath with your full attention focused on the cranial center, where your right hand is resting, while counting to 4. Then slowly exhale through your mouth, as if releasing dense smoke, while counting to 6. The exhale must be longer than the inhale. This pattern is not random. It activates the vagus nerve, the main pathway that connects brain and heart, brain and gut. When you breathe in this specific rhythm, your nervous system shuts off the sympathetic alert response and shifts into a mode of integration. The pituitary can only recalibrate when the body is no longer in a survival state. This breathing pattern creates the physiological window needed for the gland to stop transmitting threat signals and start listening to the impulses of the soul. The third layer is internal vibrational emission. While keeping your hands in position and breathing in the 3-phase rhythm, mentally, not out loud, repeat the following phrase: I obey only the impulse that rises from my essence. Repeat it internally with each full breath cycle, a minimum of 7 repetitions. Each repetition is not just a hollow, positive affirmation. It is a direct vibrational instruction to the pituitary gland, rewriting its response code. This phrase works like a password that grants access to the inner throne. The pituitary responds to the vibration of words, not to their conceptual meaning. I obey only the impulse that rises from my essence carries a specific frequency that disables automatic obedience to external signals. With every repetition, the original command is sealed in more deeply. 7 cycles, because 7 is the number of cycles needed to break an old pattern and install a new one. You're not convincing your mind, you're reprogramming the gland. What happens physiologically during this ritual can be measured. The combination of intentional cranial touch, regulated breathing, and focused mental attention changes the activity of the hypothalamic pituitary-adrenal axis in real time. Functional neuroimaging studies show that meditative practices focused on specific brain regions increase blood flow and neural activity in those areas. You're not just imagining change, you are creating chemical, electrical, and hormonal change in the structure that governs your entire body. Anna Wise, a researcher in states of consciousness, documented that practices combining focused attention, conscious breathing, and verbal intention shift brainwave patterns, moving the system from beta, which is alert and reactive, into alpha and theta, which are associated with integration and creative receptivity. This transition comes with measurable hormonal changes, a drop in cortisol and a rise in oxytocin. The pituitary is no longer responding to stress, it's responding to presence, not to collective fear, but to individual essence. Spiritually, this is the moment when blind obedience ends. The pituitary stops transmitting frequencies that entered through the door of trauma, conditioning, or unresolved vibrational inheritance. It returns to its original role, a pure channel for the soul. The inner throne is once again occupied by its rightful owner. External commands lose their authority. Inherited impulses lose their grip. Collective patterns lose access. The body stops acting out scripts that were never yours to begin with. The practical result is visceral. Where there used to be automatic behavior, decisions made on autopilot, reactions you couldn't control, now there is a pause, an inner space of conscious choice. Where there used to be constant vibrational noise, anxiety without cause, tension without reason, floating fear, now there is silence. Not empty silence, but the dense silence of presence. Your body stops reacting to the world and begins responding to the soul. The difference between reacting and responding is vibrational sovereignty. Claire spent her days touching other people's bodies as a somatic therapist, but couldn't bring herself to touch her own. At 53 years old, she guided her clients through deep breathing while her own breath remained trapped in her chest. She taught presence, but lived on autopilot. Important decisions were postponed for months. Projects that mattered were shelved for no clear reason. At the end of the day, a persistent pressure between her eyebrows, as if something inside was pushing, asking to come through. The tension in the back of her neck never let up. Massages helped for a few hours, then everything returned. Headaches would appear without warning, always in the same spot, just above the bridge of the nose. Claire knew anatomy, understood the systems, but couldn't name what was stuck. It wasn't ordinary physical pain. It felt vibrational, as if her body was responding to commands she wasn't giving. Contradictory impulses. A desire to create, followed by unexplained paralysis, like living under a script written by someone else. It was during a silent retreat that she found a forgotten book on the shelf of the shared library. A page was marked with a passage about the pituitary gland as the vibrational throne of the body. Sela Tsika, master gland, inherited commands. She read it 3 times in a row, feeling something pulsing deep in the center of her skull. The next day, alone in her room, she performed the ritual for the first time. Right hand between the eyebrows, left hand over the heart, 3-phase breathing, internal phrase repeated 7 times. On the 3rd repetition, something shifted. It wasn't a thought, it was a physical sensation. A dense warmth moved from the center of her forehead, down her spine to her sternum. Her jaw, tense for as long as she could remember, softened without effort. Her breath finally moved past her ribs, filling her entire abdomen. Claire opened her eyes and realized the cranial pressure was gone. For the first time in years, there was inner silence. Not the frightening kind of silence, but the dense presence of truly inhabiting her own body. In the months that followed, concrete changes took shape. Shelved projects returned to the table, but now with clarity on what to do. Postponed decisions were made in days, not months. The relationship with her adult daughter, distant for years, began to rebuild because Claire could finally listen without reacting. The pituitary gland had stopped transmitting fear inherited from her mother. Patterns of submission passed down through 3 generations. Her body stopped obeying ghosts and started responding to essence. This transformation Claire experienced doesn't stay in the realm of ideas. It needs to be sealed into your body now through traceable physical markers. The first sign that the pituitary gland has returned to alignment is sensory. Subtle warmth in the center of the forehead. Breath that finally reaches the abdomen without blockage. Jaw that softens without conscious effort. These are your checkpoints. When you feel all 3 together, you'll know the inner throne is occupied by essence, not by external commands. The anchoring signal gesture is this: a quick touch between the eyebrows using the index and middle fingers together, followed by 3 deep breaths through the nose. 30 seconds. You repeat this gesture whenever you notice yourself reacting on autopilot before making important decisions, when contradictory impulses arise, or when the cranial pressure returns. And the return point, when misalignment tries to sneak back in, silently whisper to yourself, "My body obeys my essence." Take a long exhale through your mouth and completely relax your shoulders. 3 elements phrase, breath, posture, that bring the pituitary gland back to its original axis. When this alignment is complete, something shifts at the root of your being. The body stops being a puppet for commands that came from the outside, inherited traumas, collective fears, patterns written before you were born. It begins to vibrate at the frequency of the soul. Disobeying external impulses is not rebellion. It's the reactivation of your original vibrational command. It's the remembrance that the inner throne was made to be occupied by you, not by ghosts of the past or the frequencies of the unconscious masses. Gurdjieff once said, "Man is a machine, but a machine that can become conscious of itself." The pituitary gland is the place where that consciousness becomes executable, where vision turns into matter, where intention becomes tangible chemistry. Realigning this center is not a technical adjustment, it's a reconnection to the divine design of the body as a temple. God did not create you to obey what comes from outside. You were created to embody what pulses from within. The body has always been sacred, not as an abstract idea, but as a real instrument of manifestation. Each gland, a portal, each center, a throne, each authentic impulse, a revelation of essence in action. When the pituitary gland vibrates in its original axis, the entire body becomes a precise translator of the soul, not a passive receiver of foreign frequencies. You stop reacting to the world and start responding to your truth. The difference between the two is sovereignty. The ritual you've learned here is not an occasional practice. It's a daily gesture of return to the inner throne. Touch, breath, vocal emission. 3 layers that silence inherited commands and restore pure transmission. Each time you repeat this gesture, you are telling your body, "You obey only what rises from within me," and the body listens, because it always wanted to obey essence. It had just forgotten how to recognize it amid the external noise. Remember, the vibrational throne of your body never stopped existing. It was simply occupied by those who didn't belong there. Realigning the master gland is expelling the silent invaders and sitting in the seat that has always been yours. When you do this, life stops being automatic obedience and becomes conscious creation. The body stops executing inherited scripts and begins to manifest the frequency that only you carry. This is vibrational sovereignty. It is not something you conquer, it is something you remember. If this video resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any revelation that restores the command to its true owner. If you want to directly support the mission of Transcend and help bring this wisdom to more people who need to reclaim their vibrational sovereignty, consider becoming a member of the channel. Your contribution keeps alive the flame of this portal of ancestral and scientific knowledge that is transforming lives. I want to know, how do you feel this vibrational alignment in your body? Write in the comments, I realign my master gland and obey only the impulses of my essence. This affirmation seals your presence on the path of embodied consciousness. Share this video with someone who needs to remember the inner throne that has been forgotten. And don't stop here. Click on the screen and dive into another transformational video from the channel. Remember, when the pituitary gland returns to its original axis, external commands lose their authority, and life stops being obedience, becoming conscious creation.